a law enforcement guy. I'm used to people being upset with me. It's like, if I don't have people upset with me,
Yeah,
I'm
but
not
they're
doing
Doing
my
your job. Funny, they said that during lunch recess too to me. If the kids don't like you, you're not doing your job.
That's when you were a kid.
Well, I won't even go into that one.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ed Hoops, the chairman of the Yarmouth Conservation Commission. We will now convene the February 16th, 2023 meeting of the Yarmouth Conservation Commission. As required by General Laws, Chapter 30A, Sections 18 through 25, and pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, the public are able to attend this meeting either in person or via the alternative public access. Members of the public may watch the meeting live on Channel 18 or watch and/or participate in the meeting hosted in Zoom. The meeting notice provides necessary instructions to join the meeting via Zoom. Please note that audio, video, and screen sharing functions will be disabled for all attendees. You may request to participate by using the raise hand function. We'll begin with a roll call for quorum. Ed Hoops is here. Tom Durkin.
Here.
Patricia Mulhern.
Here.
Ellie Lawrence.
Here,
Rick Bishop is absent. Paul Huggins. And David Bernstein.
Here.
We have a quorum of 6 of the 7 members present. And I now call this meeting to order. Again, this is the Yarmouth Conservation Commission meeting for Thursday, February 16, 2023. First order of business, the Natural Resources Department project announcement, trail marker additions and improvements, map updates for conservation areas.
How are you? All right. So I'm Victoria Catone. I'm a natural resource officer here in town. I know Ellie Lawrence well. I'm lucky enough that I was gifted an intern from the Barnstable High School. Ava's with me 3 days a week, and she rides along with me. We go to just our typical day-to-day operations, and then on top of that, Ava also gets to experience other things, such as we did rode along with Brittany. We went to IFA, ARC, different kind of opportunities for her to get exposed. But because she is part of our daily operations, she kind of sees some of the struggles that we run into. So Ava came up with this project on her own, and it's something that our division is looking forward to, and we hope that it kind of works out well for the residents and kind of the people that are in the trail systems and using these daily. So I'll turn it over to Ava.
Hi, I'm Ava Rolfe. I'm a senior at Barnstable High School, and I will be attending Massachusetts Maritime Academy next fall. And as a senior project for my environmental science class, I've decided to hopefully mark all the trails in Yarmouth and then proceed on later to maybe extend this project with making waypoints and more trail markers in line of sight, since at the moment we are able to mark every quarter mile of 6 out of the 7 conservation trails in Yarmouth. We are hoping to do all 6 currently, and we have different trail markers that we will be putting up on certain locations. So we have some maps as well here.
These maps basically just mark where those quarter mile markers would land. The idea behind this is kind of just to provide a baseline for us currently. We're seeing a lot of different expansion of trails that obviously are not town expansions. So this is kind of a way for us to better manage that, and as they pop up, address them as they come.
And this will also help us to keep our trails maintained and to hopefully deter people from walking those trails that they have created themselves. And we have 3 or 4 different types of trail markers that we will be putting up. So this orange one here will most likely only be used at Bud Carter for a separate trail, and then the other trail markers are just red, and those will be exactly like the maps shown as well.
What are your 6 trails?
We have Ray Cirilla,
Okay.
Sandy Pond Conservation, both the small loop and the
So
big
that means
loop,
it.
Calorie Darling, and Bud Carter,
Bud Carter is good.
Dennis Pond, and Horse Pond.
Meadowbrook is the only conservation area we're not doing, and that's primarily just like a boardwalk. It's a pretty straight shoot on the north side. And it's primarily marsh too. There's not like a lot of developed trees in that area.
Now, the Bud Carter, you're doing the orange for, the one that goes like this? and
Yes.
The one I get lost at every time I go
that-
to.
Well, why don't you run into me? I know how to do it.
That's what we're trying to prevent.
So the trails will be marked every quarter mile, and then we will be marking most sharp turns and any trail merges as well.
I was at Horse Pond last Thursday, gorgeous day, and I can see why. I mean, there are hundreds of different trails going off.
Yeah, and we're seeing that kind of all throughout town, unfortunately. This project, like I said, is a baseline for us, but it kind of opens up a lot of different questions as well as to how we would prevent like further development of those trails. And Brittany had mentioned like if we're putting in like larger obstacles to prevent people, but at this time, we're going to start hopefully at this level.
What about the Carolyn Thatcher Pereira Conservation Area in Yarmouthport? Is that not being
Ah.
considered?
That's historical. That's a
Yeah, that's
historical society. They have their own
No,
markers.
no, not on,
River?
not between Pine Street and White Rock Road.
Right?
The other side
There's a
is-
trail over there, huh? I haven't found that one.
It's the main area. There's only a couple
yeah, between
trails that
Pine
go
and-
through there. But the reason I mention it is that maybe they don't need signs, but certainly they need maintenance.
Yeah, I'd have to look further into that. To be totally honest, I don't believe that I've personally ever maintained that area. I'd have to look further kind of into that.
It's not part of the, as far as I know, it's not part of the, what is it called, the Old Yarmouth,
Historical
Historical
trails?
Society.
that's across the street and down to the right,
All right.
you know?
No, I think this, isn't this part of Land Bank? Isn't it Land Bank maintained?
Yeah, I think
know.
you're right.
Bank owned?
I think
I
you're right.
believe that's what it is.
I don't know if any, I've never seen anybody in there maintaining anything.
Yeah.
Victoria, take minutes. Can I have your spelling of your last name?
Cotone, Cotone.
Thank you.
You're
Well,
welcome.
you can look into that,
That's
I sure
between
can.
thank you.
Pine and Strawberry Lane or Pine and White
Well, it's
White
probably
Rock?
Strawberry
Okay.
Lane, I don't know.
Well, that is a wide area. I think that's.
It's a pretty big area.
It is. But I don't think that's owned by the town. Well,
Oh, I think
maybe.
it is.
Yeah, I think it's open space.
What?
I think that's part of the open space,
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know
It's a
the
good
difference
question.
between Bud Carter and that. I
Yeah.
don't know what the designation would, how it would be different, but there's a trail that goes through there, and then you cross over Strawberry Hill Lane, and you go into the, on one side is the historic area, and the other side is the Boy Scout camp and all that
Reno.
stuff, you know.
Reno.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll look into that.
Yeah, appreciate it, thank you.
What's your proposed timeline?
We are hoping to be done with this by the last week in March.
Quick turnaround.
So Ava has set up a schedule for herself. So each week we'll be tackling a different area, and like the bigger areas, like Bud Carter, for instance, we'll give ourselves like 2 days in those areas. But we're gonna get it done.
Okay.
I may run into you.
Yeah, we might ask for help.
We'll be there every Wednesday.
If you're lost, just let me know.
Thank you.
Look out for coyotes, so.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, very good. Any other questions? Brittany, anything else?
Sounds great, thank you.
Thank you. Well,
think
thank
this
you
is a
for
great idea.
picking that up.
Good
and-
luck.
And thank
Great
you for doing the
idea.
work. All right, next order of business is a request for determination of applicability, Dan Ogil, Down Cape Engineering, for Jacob Simmons, 137 Run Pond Road, proposed raise and replace of a single-family dwelling partially located within land subject to coastal storm flowage. Existing septic system and driveway will remain.
Good evening, Chairman Hoops, members of the commission. For the record, Dan Ojala, I'm a land surveyor and civil engineer with Down Cape Engineering in Yarmouthport, and helping Mr. Simmons out with replacing a It's actually, right now, it's been used as like a daycare, so it's almost like a educational or use with a conforming or a more, in a residential district, the allowed use of a single-family home. It's got a great big septic system, so we're going to reutilize that. It's, the only reason we're here is because a little bit of the north end of the site building nicks into the flood zone. Your general principle is if you're not introducing any fill, you let these through as RDAs. Flood zones don't really have specific performance standards. If we do get a big coastal storm flowage event here, then we would expect that the new foundation system, which will be smart vents that'll let the water in and right back out. So that's per code. Note 6 says that the FEMA compliant foundation design will be proposed, and it's just a very shallow crawl space. So the ground outside, the requirement is that the slab inside be at or an inch higher than outside. So the water comes in and just flows right back out, which is better than what's there now. So it would be an improvement over existing conditions. We're putting in some roof dry wells. There's a little swimming pool in the back. The lot coverage is going from 31% down to 24.5%. So that's an improvement as well. I'd be glad to answer any questions if you do have them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Questions from the commission?
Well, it's if I may, it's a proposed 7-bedroom dwelling. Is there any idea what they're going to be using that for? I mean, that's a lot of bedrooms to be throwing into a normal home. It's just
Yeah.
a curiosity question.
Sure. I don't know that it's anything except just a single-family home. I'm not privy to that, but
Okay.
they may have a big family. I'm not sure.
Is it
Okay.
presently vacant?
Unsure on that. Unsure on that. It looks like the Kennedy Center sold it about a year ago, in 21, late in 21, so probably it's been vacant if that was the case. We've had this under contract since late in 21, it looks like.
Okay, anybody else? Brittany?
No questions.
Anybody in the audience have any questions on this one? Anybody on Zoom have a question on this? Raise your hand digitally. I see none. Do I have a motion for a -2?
So moved, David.
Second?
Second, Ellie.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously.
Really appreciate your time on that. And for the Fitzsimmons matter that's later tonight, I do have a draft plan. Pleased to say the surveying has been done, and we're in progress on that. So I'll leave that with Brittany just in case it's helpful.
Thank you.
It's an initial draft, but at least you can see that he's working in good faith. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dan. Next order of business is an updated plan request for SE 83-2289 Kieran Healy, BSC Group for the Parkers River Realty Trust, 668 Route 28, Captain Parker's Pub. Previously installed stormwater system instead of a bioswale along with a handicap ramp and walkway.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Kieran Healy. I'm a land surveyor with the BSC Group, representing the owner of the property, Jerry Manning, Captain Parker's Restaurant. If I could just bring your attention to the plan I have. Basically, this structure was built a few years ago and permitted by another consultant. When it was designed, this outside porch, a system of drainage was installed all the way along this property. When we submitted our notice of intent to the board, we were unaware that that had been installed. It's basically a 2-by-2-foot stone trench with a pipe in there, and it was designed to capture all of the water in this area. So what we're doing is we got permission from the commission to enclose this area. So the roof area is still exactly the same as what was previously permitted, with the exception of this bump out in this area. So the area that was designed back in 2013 or 14 is the same area of water that we're putting into this drainage system today. So we're looking to just utilize what's physically in the ground to cover the drainage system that's required. That's part one. And the second part is this section right here is very far from the front of the building where the handicapped egress is, or ingress and egress. So it was asked by the owner if he could do something to put in just an emergency ramp, not for daily operation, but in the event people need to get out, that it would also cover handicapped accessibility to get out of the building. So basically what we're doing is just putting in a stone trail all the way around back out to the street. It's not going to be a primary entrance, but it is a way to get out in the event there's an emergency. And we're just hoping that the commission would see that as a minor modification and allow us to go forward. There is some coastal bank, there is the riverfront, there are buffers. It is entirely within the flood zone. There are resource areas that this does affect. Other than that, I'd be glad to answer any questions you have.
Okay, thanks, Karen. Questions from the board?
Did you say that they were enclosing that patio area?
Correct, yes. That's what we got permission
Oh,
to
it's
do. yes.
open now with just a roof, and now you just want to enclose it?
Correct, yeah.
It's already permitted. The only changes are what he just presented. The closure is permitted.
That's all I have.
And so, Karen, what plan were you referencing?
It's a plan dated
I don't have
January
that plan.
15th, 2023.
All right,
We don't have any physical copies yet.
Oh, okay.
It was this, basically, the reason you don't have a set of plans is because sometimes with minor modifications, the agent can take care of it, but this is a little bit more involved, so we just wanted to be sure that you didn't need a filing, that we could just hand the plan to Brittany if the commission was accepting of that.
All right. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, does any mitigation have to be done for the ramp? I'm asking somebody, Brittany.
Yeah, so my only question is it's going through an existing mitigation area that for the project. So we would just ask that anything taken away from the walkway be replaced.
Yep, and if I could, basically, we're going outside the existing mitigation area right here, and we're crossing the mitigation area right there, so it's probably a 7 by 8 or 8 foot long section, 4 feet to 5 feet wide. So we can definitely add 40 square feet of plants in this area to somewhere else on the site. And I can
Okay.
put that on the plan when I submit it to you.
Great.
All right.
It's a pervious, walkway?
It's going to be shell. Shell is what they're looking to do. Yeah.
Fine.
It will be stable, obviously, for a wheelchair, but it will be a shell base.
Anybody else? Brittany?
Nope, that's all.
Anybody in the audience have any questions? Maybe in Zoom have any questions? Raise your hand digitally. I see none, so I guess we just need a motion to approve the updated plan, the revised plan.
So moved.
Second, Tom.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right, next order of business, continued notices of intent. This is for Thomas Young, 71 Arrowhead Road, proposed 15 by 28 and 9 by 9 foot decks on sonotubes in the buffer zone to a bordering vegetated wetland.
We've had a lot of correspondence since the email in there, but
So they're asking for a continuance for one more time until they can do
provide the drought.
Riverfront Act. Okay. All right, so is there somebody who would like to make a motion to continue this to March 2nd?
So moved, David.
March 2nd. We're moving right along.
Second, Pat.
Thank you, Pat. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. All right, next order of business, another continued notice of intent for SE 83-2371, Bob Perry, Cape Cod Engineering for Susan, and DeWitt Davenport, 62A Pleasant Street, proposed swimming pool in the riverfront area in our riparian zone, land subject to coastal storm flowage and the buffer zones to a salt marsh and a coastal bank. Again, we're looking for one more continuance, I believe. So we have a letter from Bob Perry asking that this be continued to March 16th, 2023. They're still working on some more updates.
The 16th?
Hmm?
It's the 16th he asked for?
That's what my eyes are saying.
Okay.
Okay, so do I have a motion to continue to March 16th?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so we'll see that one on the 16th of March. Next order of business, continued stormwater management permit application for the town of Yarmouth, 669 Route 28, proposed event space and park with trails, parking, bathhouse, and art shanties. And Kathy, I think we are at an agreement with the peer review process and everything else, right?
I think we are. I actually did just speak with Jason Gold right before this meeting, and he did resubmit a revised memo that's asking for a condition for well draining gravel underneath the reinforced turf and stabilized aggregate pathways versus what he had in his previous memo.
Okay, great.
Clarified that.
Okay, so is there any questions on this one? Brittany?
No questions.
Anybody in the audience? Anybody on Zoom? If not, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the project with special conditions?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Carries unanimously.
It's a long haul.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
It's a long haul.
One more step.
Thanks.
He's good.
The first one, do them separately. First one's good. Some issues.
All right,
Do you have to sign anything for what we just did?
Yes.
That's why I'm sitting here.
that's what you're supposed to do. Thank you. All right, next order of business, certificate of compliance for SE 83-609, 11 Park Avenue, Yarmouth. I hear that's all ready to go and all good, right, Brittany?
Correct.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve or issue the COC for SE 83-609, 11 Park Avenue?
So moved.
Second.
Second, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. Another certificate of compliance for SE 83-1442, 8 Many Oaks Circle, Yarmouthport. And do we have some issues, I assume, with this one?
Yeah, minor issues. The original order of conditions required the installation of several dry wells on the property. None were ever installed, and there is some evidence of minor erosion. So we may need to have those installed, but the commission can look at the photos once they cooperate.
Okay, well, that was the only thing, though, right?
That's the
driveway.
only issue, yeah.
Okay.
This is in
yeah.
the back of the house. There's some evidence of erosion, and they also expose in another gutter downspout some subterranean rocks and other erosion. So dry wells would be beneficial
Yeah,
in this
no,
area.
no doubt. Okay, yeah, I've got no problem. Do you understand? Are you the homeowner?
Yes.
Okay, and so you understand what you need to do?
Yeah, I just, unfortunately, I don't know, it fell between the cracks, and I didn't understand, what the builder at the time, that was on the prints. I mean, it's, the buck stops here with us, my wife and I, but we didn't realize that we just ran into it in the spring when we
Right.
tried to do another project. And it was brought to our attention, and that's how the process all started and got us here today.
Okay, so you want to put this on hold for a few months and,
Yeah, how long do you think you would need to install the dry wells?
A couple months, it probably might be quicker, but it'd be nice to have a little cush,
why don't we say 4?
What's that?
Why don't we say 4 months? 4 months from today.
Okay,
And if you get them done earlier, then just by all means, come on back, talk to Brittany, and we'll get you on, we'll get you on earlier. Oh, wait, I have to do this. No, I don't.
Continue. You can vote to continue.
We don't have to do anything. We just give them up to 4 months to fix it, right?
Yeah, you can do it either way.
And then we don't have to worry about putting a date certain.
Okay.
Yes?
Then I have to check them, yeah.
You're good with that? Okay. All right, so we'll give you 4 months. You have until, what's today? February, March, April, May,
16,
June.
yeah.
June 16th. If you get it done earlier,
give a call.
yeah, give us a call.
All right.
All right? Great, thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
All right, this is continued enforcement, next one up, for 110 River Street, South Yarmouth. This is a review of a restoration planting plan. Come on up.
Oops.
Hi.
Okay, and before you go, I'm going to turn it over to Brittany first to explain it, and then
Oops.
pass those down. And then we'll come back to you, okay?
Take one and pass it.
This was just a continuation from our enforcement at 110 River Street for the unpermitted patio and granite steps from October. And we're reviewing the proposed restoration/mitigation plan.
This is the COC. Can you just give us 1 minute, Brittany, to catch
Yeah.
up? Thank you. Speaker introducing.
Yeah, we'll get them. Nope, not yet.
So the plans were submitted they were due on the 14th, and they were submitted on the 14th within the time frame as per the enforcement order. And the square footage meets what is required, so we can review the plantings to see if it meets the commission's requirements.
And this is at the 5 to 1, right?
Those are the COCs.
Correct.
And it includes what was originally supposed to be done.
Yes, the first 5-foot strip here, they have beach grass.
Okay, and that's above, or the rest of it is above and beyond that the rest of it is the part that meets the 5 to 1 mitigation?
It meets it.
Okay, all right. Okay, and did you have any concerns with it?
My only concern was whether or not the commission would prefer the buffer zone to be wider on the south side instead of this long strip on the top. And if there is the shrub to grass ratio, because it is a lot of grasses, there are a significant amount of shrubs as well, but
Yeah, it would make more sense to go on the south side.
Yeah, didn't we agree that it was all going to be on the south side at the last
we
meeting?
wanted it to stay within the 50-foot buffer and focus on the south side.
Is the 50-foot, is that the 50-foot up there, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
That strip showing those area that we were just discussing, I think it would benefit from those plantings there. There's nothing there, and there's some signs of a little erosion there. So I think that area could benefit from that.
Yeah, I'm not saying remove all of them. I'm saying maybe remove half of those and put them over on the south side.
Is it a question of just doing additional plantings on the south side?
Is your question basically, can I leave those up there and then just add more to the south side?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what we're trying to accomplish. As far as a runoff issue, the seawall was designed to be 4 or 5 inches above the grade, and it pulls back, the tabs pull back on either side, so it would catch anything. So there really can't be anything that runs off. And I apologize, I have photos of all that showing that height above the grade on my phone. I can show you. I didn't know I was gonna be appearing before you. I've had pictures of all that. If it helps, one thing that I think maybe, again, I apologize, maybe I could pull this back to this point here. instead of, the grass coming here, we could come back this way. As long as we just don't have anything high here, because there's neighbors across the street, they have views, we have views. If we keep it low, maybe just add a little here. Would that help?
What are those plants?
So you're talking about adding an extra row of plantings there?
Yeah.
And keeping everything else the way it is?
Yeah.
I'm good with that.
I could pull that back.
Okay, are your feelings about creeping juniper still the same?
I'm sorry.
Are your feelings about creeping juniper the same?
No, I don't want to see creeping junipers.
It's mostly creeping junipers.
Is that what those are?
These are creeping junipers, and there's only 19, but these are, and
I thought it was mostly going to be beach grass back there.
okay,
I
yeah,
didn't realize.
it's mostly grasses over here with the bearberry and sweet ferns, and the larger shrubs are only on the outsides, beach plum and viburnums, and then here on the top are the creeping junipers.
Yeah, well, I don't want to see any more creeping juniper. In fact, I'd like to see less of it, to be honest with you. But if you're going to add another layer or another row of plantings, I mean, I could see like inkberry or what were you going to say?
I mean, more sweet fern and
Did you say sweet fern?
yeah, he has Comptonia in here. I'd be fine with more of that.
Is that
Put it
like-
in between, yeah.
Is that like a beach grass kind of?
A sweet fern is a low shrub. It's not a true fern.
We agreed they filled this hole,
Okay.
That's not helpful.
not that. That was.
All
gonna
his
be
questions.
I have a question. Could you talk about your opposition to creeping junipers so that we're enlightened?
I don't want to, again, this is more of a personal thing, but, I mean, the whole idea is that creeping juniper, I think oftentimes gets too overutilized in that because they are a very low, next to ground almost, spreading plant, people will use them to offset, especially when they have to do a lot of mitigation planting, they'll use that to offset a bigger portion of area. So if you were, I don't know, creeping juniper is like 2.5, 3 foot circle, it's like a 2.5, 3 foot diameter. If you were to be looking at something like an inkberry or beach plum or something else, you'd be talking about something that's 2, 3, 4 feet tall to get that kind of same kind of ground coverage. So I don't like to see everything being with all of it just being creeping juniper, because then it sort of takes away from the meaning of the mitigation. You're not being as diverse that way.
It's not as many roots in the ground, kind of, right?
Yeah, I mean, they do spread out and everything, but they are, and they do.
Aesthetic thing?
It's not so much aesthetics, it's just I think that it covers,
Cover, not a bush.
Yeah, they don't provide as quality habitat as other plants could.
yeah. And there's almost no, well, there is no food habitat, wildlife habitat that way. So where you have other plants that are more suitable for that sort of stuff, they look nice, they cover a certain amount of area, and they provide other wildlife benefits as well. So that's, I think, the only thing that creeping juniper has going for it is basically because it spreads out across the ground, it is essentially a ground cover that can help reduce, rain motivated erosion. But that's about it. That's why I don't particularly like to see a lot of creeping juniper. So.
Okay, thank you.
For my notes, could I just get your name, please?
Yes, David McCarthy.
Thank you. And are you the homeowner?
I am, yes.
Thank you.
So, I mean, I'm fine if you want to add another layer, another row of
Yeah, that
plantings.
helps.
But not, not creeping juniper.
All right, we'll
Okay.
take care of it. Thank you.
Thanks for pointing that out, because I usually, I mean, most of the landscape architects, they use that very special
Yeah.
silhouette for the creeping juniper, so that's what I'm looking for. All right, so I'm good with that, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everybody else good? Any other questions? Okay, so we'll make that change, and then, do
Yeah.
you need any
Just submit the-
pre-construction meeting or anything with them?
I'll just review the revised plan and, yeah, let me know before you start planting.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, great, thank you.
Sorry, the revised plan's going to come to Brittany?
So the revised plan will come to Brittany, and can you get that, what is it? Can you do that by March?
Wait, don't leave.
Hold on, can you get the revised plan to Brittany by March, March 16th? That's 30 days.
Get all those pictures of plants.
Yeah, so if, tell the people that are doing the plan, that's what we're aiming for, and if there's gonna be an issue, then contact her before you. March 16th? Okay.
No vote needed. Okay, where am I?
All right, so this is new enforcement then for 16 General Lawrence, South Yarmouth. It's unpermitted clearing of vegetation
Excuse me,
in the
Mr.
buffer
Chairman,
zone to a vegetated wetland.
do we need to vote on that?
To approve the,
Oh, just to approve, yeah, I'm sorry, is there a motion to approve the revised plan?
So moved. I didn't know if we should have voted on
Second.
it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for reminding me of that.
Did you, Pat, did you second that?
Yes, I did.
And it's to approve, revised.
Revised plan, yep.
Okay, yeah, come on in and sit down and just give us a minute while we're getting this stuff done. I'm gonna ask Brittany to give us a rundown of what's going on, and then we'll introduce you, and then we'll have questions from the board.
Do we have anything to sign for the one we just approved?
No, there's nothing to sign.
Okay, all right, thank you.
okay, so this property abuts a wetland on General Lawrence Road, and it came to our attention that there was some vegetation clearing, and it goes up right to an inland bank and right to the edge of the wetland. So I sent a violation notice and met with the property owner on site, and we discussed what had occurred. And so we're just moving forward a bit to see the commission's response. We probably need a restoration planting plan for this area to get it back to its original condition.
Okay, so you're gonna issue, the enforcement order will have restoration plan by, let's see, March 16th. I don't think you're gonna, I don't think it's gonna, I think it's pretty hard pressed to, unless you're a landscape architect, or no,
Yes.
you are?
Well, my name is Michael Frazier, for the record, of Travis Construction and Engineering. I did send a letter to Brittany. I'm not sure if she shared it with the committee in regards to this situation here.
It is in the file. I haven't shared it. I can put it up.
Well,
I'd really rather that you didn't do that, as a matter of fact, if you're talking about this particular letter. My name's Elizabeth Shea, and I'm the property owner. And Mike did come to help me get rid of trees at my house. That one was growing into the septic tank. There were quite a few growing into power lines. There were quite a few that were coming around the back of the house. I've lived at this home. I bought it, it'll be 32 years ago, September 5th. And there's never been a problem there before. Mike is a good man, and he tries to do the right things, but he rushes in, I think, and all of this was done when Brittany came to talk to me. She said that what needed to have happened was that we get a permit, and I'm all for that. And I didn't even think about it or realize it, that should have been done. And the onus is on me. I'm the homeowner. So if there's a fine, that's on me. Whatever needs to be done to restore it, that's on me. And I'm looking for help because I don't know exactly what to put back there. It was really a mess back there.
Okay, all right, so I understand what you're saying, and again, and you've already, you've already clearly understood that you're responsible, and I appreciate that you've come forward with that. I think moving forward, the way we get everybody back into compliance is to come up with what is called a restoration plan, a restoration planting plan. That is something that, I mean, typically, I would suggest you get some help from it doesn't have to be a landscape architect by any means, but you definitely want somebody who, like some sort of a wetland consultant that has experience with wetlands, wetland plants, and that sort of thing, who can sort of guide you along the way of coming up with this planting plan.
Do you have any recommendations? Is there a list that I can look at? No?
Yeah, so I hate to
Yeah.
I hate to say this because it really annoys me when people say this to me. But if you would Google, okay, just Google wetland consultants Cape Cod.
Okay.
Okay.
Cape
And-
Cod Cooperative Health.
And there will be all sorts of people who will pop up in that search. Okay.
Well, that's very helpful. I don't take offense at telling me to Google. I
And-
just needed to know what to Google.
So when you contact people, okay, and I'm going to let you know this too. It's like when you contact somebody, the first thing you want to do is ask them to make sure that they do have some sort of experience with wetland, and ask them how many types of different filings have they done with conservation commissions. And if they can answer that with a reasonable answer, then they're probably okay. But okay, just so you just want to make sure that they have some sort of experience doing this. Okay. So moving forward, we'll sign the enforcement order. We'll put in a restoration planting plan. We'll ask for that to be, the plan itself to be submitted to Brittany by, let's try for 2 months from today. Okay.
Okay.
April.
I think there are people.
That's in April, then?
It'll be April 16th.
I'll probably add in that there needs to be some sort of erosion control, a straw wattle put in at the top of the bank
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
For the time being.
Yeah, so that will have to.
immediately for that one.
Okay.
Do you want a wattle, or mat, or jute matting?
Either.
Either?
Which one do you think is better?
I would say wattle along top with the
With the matting.
matting going down the bank.
And so in the restoration plan, there was one oak cut. We should see at least one put back, correct?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna wanna see that coming back, putting everything back pretty densely on that bank, so.
May I interject one thing, because I'm being kind of put here in a bad light, and that's not really good here. In regards to this, what happened here, and I put it in the letter, all right, that area on that side was covered with demo, all types of stuff. It was all infiltrated with bittersweet, briars. There was no oak tree cut. This is what I do for a living. There was a wild cherry that was growing horizontally over everything that was cut, that was dead. The only other thing that was cut there was a Russian olive on the top of the hill, and which is in that picture. It was trimmed back. All of it was all leaves. All we did is we went down into the wetland, we pulled out tires, litter, everything. I do this for a living, so when someone tells me that I went into the wetland, it's absolutely false. No, nothing on that embankment going down was disturbed in any aspect, and you can do that on an on-site visit. Yes, a wattle should have been put there at the top. There is no erosion going down into that culvert. None at all. Again, you can go out and look at this for yourself. Yes,
Been
does it?
doing this?
I'm sorry?
How long have you been doing this?
I've been doing it a very long time, sir.
So
But
do you-
all I'm saying is that was all covered with debris. So I don't want it to, put something that I went in there and started ripping things out, because that is not the case. All we did is remove debris.
I'm not trying to cast aspersions on Mike in any way, shape, or form. This wasn't something that I had pictured doing as part of the plan of what I hired Mike for. It got done. Now I want to go forward and do the right thing.
That's fine.
To fix it, okay?
And I'm just going to say to you, sir.
Yeah?
Since you have been doing this for such a long time, you should have known better than to do any work within 100 feet of a wetland without having some sort of conservation clearance. If you say that you know what you're doing, then you should have known that you should have come before us for some sort of a permit.
All I'm saying is, and I don't want this to be on her, all we were trying to do is the right thing to remove the debris. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to get the hair up on the back of your neck. That's it. That's all I'm saying, is we remove debris, and now she's going to have to do a planting schedule, and that's fine. But there was no malice in there to disturb a wetland. In fact, her house is within the wetland, if you want to be technical.
I don't think anybody was accusing you of malice or anything else.
Okay,
It was absolutely
It's an
no
alteration of the resource and the
All I'm
buffer.
trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say is it was a very distressed home. There was a lot of problems there. We solved the problem, and yes, but there was no lawns there, no nothing, and I'm just taking a little
I want the committee to be
personal.
aware that Mike has an issue with me because he did work that I didn't authorize, and therefore I didn't pay him for it.
It's got
And
nothing to
that's
do with
part
it.
of what-
All right, okay.
And
It's just the litter that was
that's not what we're here for. I just want to go forward
It was just the litter that was removed that's
and
causing the
do
problem,
what's
that's all I'm
needed.
saying. And there was a
Get the-
20-yard,
You've made your point.
okay, 20-yard can that was taken out of there of litter.
Your point.
No, my
please.
point is that the town did not go there before and have a problem with all that litter on that environmental bank, but now that it's gone, the town has a problem with it. That's my issue.
You need to quiet down,
No, I
right?
don't need to quiet down. I'm telling you exactly what the situation is. I had my say.
I'm directing her to call the police.
I have a right to tell you what I
And you've been
think.
asked, you've been told, and you've been asked to be quiet, and you haven't
You could
done
have
it.
told me to leave, and I'll leave. Just don't accuse me of something I didn't do.
There's the door.
No problem.
All right, so you need to come up with the plan, okay? That's the thing that you're
Absolutely
going,
not a problem.
moving
I just-
forward.
That's why I came, that's why I wanted to do this tonight. I didn't know he was going to be here, and
Okay,
I'm
it's all,
just a bit
it's all good.
horrified. So-
Okay, we're gonna get this all done. He was in the wrong. It doesn't matter how many times he yells about it, he was still wrong.
It
Okay.
is my home, and I should have been more aware.
And we will, like I said, this is not the end of the world, okay? It's not the end of the world. We will get you back into compliance.
It looks like scorched earth, and that's not my home. I'm sorry.
Listen, I promise you, you're gonna come up with a good restoration plan, and within 4 or 5 months, you're not even gonna know it, okay? You're not even gonna know it was looking like that, okay?
It's going to look
I
better in the
promise
end.
you. Okay?
So now, the one thing I want to be sure I've got right, I know how to Google and find the thing now. It's a straw swaddle with matting, and if I call like Mahoney's, they'll know what it is I'm looking for.
Yeah, try Agway.
Agway?
Agway up on 134.
Okay.
In Dennis, I know they have all of that equipment. Okay?
Then I'll talk to them.
Okay?
All
And
right.
so we'll just ask for the plan by April 16th.
Yeah.
All right? And like I said, it looks bad now, but you get a good plan, you get some good plantings going by the end of the fall. It's gonna, it'll look like, it's absolutely beautiful, and you won't even know it was looking like that ever, okay?
thank you for understanding. I mean, I had to take down a tree that I absolutely loved, you know, that had grown for 30 years in the front yard because it was growing into the septic tank. And that's how all of this started. And then all of a sudden, everything that I loved
Yeah,
is
no.
like gone.
You know, these things happen. You know, he as a contractor should have at least given you a little bit of heads up. If he was as experienced as he was saying, he should have known better than to do that. Okay? So we're all set with you. If you have any questions, feel free to give Brittany a call.
I will.
And she will be able to help you with those, okay?
Thank you for your understanding.
Okay, and so, we'll we'll ratify the enforcement order with the restoration plan. Hopefully you'll get the plants in the ground by the spring, by the, you know, like, by May 1st or May 31st.
I even said to Brittany when she came, I don't want to do the planting right now because they'll die.
Yeah, no, this isn't the time to do that,
Not now.
okay?
We'll get the straw wattle and the matting.
Do we vote on this?
Just to ratify.
Vote on this?
Yes, we're voting, that's what we're working on the motion right now, so. Restoration order by, a restoration planting plan by April 16th, plants in the ground by May 31st. And then 3 years of monitoring,
Sure.
all right? And if there's any question or any issues with meeting deadlines or anything, just make sure you contact Brittany beforehand, you know, before it gets, so if it's due on the 15th, don't wait until the 14th and say, I haven't even done anything yet, okay? All right, so that'll be good.
Yep.
All right, is there,
Can I make one more suggestion? When you do call people, ask them for a timeline, because obviously people, you know, just tell them what your timeline is. Can you do it by these two dates?
And the plantings to begin or be finished by May?
planting's finished by May 31st is the ideal, okay?
Yep.
Yeah, because you probably won't want to start until April, sometime around April 1st would usually the best time to start planting, so depending on what you're planting, okay?
All right, thank you
All
very
right.
much for your help, I appreciate it.
Thank you. And my only other question is whether or not we are going to
Fine 'em.
issue a citation, and in this case, I'd be saying, not you.
I agree.
Would somebody like to make a motion to that effect?
I make a motion, we fine, what business was he with?
Hey, Mike, what was his
Michael
name?
Frazier is his
Frazier.
name.
Frazier?
Michael Frazier.
$300
Traverse Construction.
for the violation of clearing the wetlands.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? One, okay,
Who opposed? I missed it. Got it.
How many opposed? I'm sorry.
I'm opposed, yes.
So just 5 to 1?
4, 1 opposed. Okay,
We never voted for the restoration, for
I
the,
was just doing all of it
It
together.
was a,
I just made the whole thing together.
oh, that whole thing
Yeah,
was 5 to
that was
1?
whole- Yep.
You understand that, Paul? You were voting, when Paul voted negative, I think he voted just for the fine.
Were you voting against the fine or voting against everything?
No, just the fine.
Okay,
okay.
all right, so then we'll do a separate motion for the restoration plan.
Okay.
All right.
I'll move.
Okay, a second?
Second.
All right, so this is for the restoration, the enforcement order and the restoration plan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, next order of business, another enforcement hearing for 14 Roads End, South Yarmouth, unpermitted dock and floating docks within land under a water body bordering vegetated wetland and their buffer zones.
Mr. Chairman, I gotta leave at 6, should I leave before this or in the middle of it? Or will we be done?
Get it done. Are we gonna get it done in 5 minutes?
I don't know. We'll see.
I'll try to help make it quick.
Yeah, so very quick
All right.
rundown.
I'll stay then.
When you
I'll
have to
stay.
leave, just leave,
Just
okay?
leave, okay.
That's all right.
Quick overview, in October 2021, Kelly Grant contacted the homeowner about a dock and floating dock on Long Pond, saying that she didn't see any Chapter 91 license or local permitting for the dock. I followed up this year in November to the same effect, wondering if any progress had been made on a permit filing. I told him to please get on it and hope to see a notice of intent by December 15th. If not, I would follow enforcement action. He contacted me December 15th, saying he had contracted with Mark Burgess, working on a surveying plan to get the notice of intent filed. 2 months later, in February, I followed up with an enforcement order to get the notice of intent filing moving. And that sums it up. And gave me this plan earlier in the evening, showing that they are working on it. That is all.
So you issued the enforcement order in just a week ago, or 2 weeks ago?
In February, yes. What is the date? February 6th.
Okay,
Great. Thank you. I'm Matt Fitzsimmons, homeowner.
I'm sorry, can you give me your name again?
Oh, Matt Fitzsimmons.
Fitzsimmons?
Thank you. And Mark Burgess otherwise would be here this evening, but he happened to be headed out on a week trip starting this morning. But he did send in a note to Ms. DiRenzo to have on file. We have been working on it for some time. We actually had begun with a prior outfit who unfortunately strung us along for a while. I actually started back in summer of 2020. We bought the house a few winters ago. And what's been great, having Mark's help since last year, having also brought in Down Cape Engineering. Brad Hall finished all the flagging out back, and Down Cape's been active, coming to the house to work on having everything as an as-built to be able to give that to Mark to then file the notice of intent. And this week, Mark shared with me that he has about a half dozen other files that he's working on getting in, but he has ours also in the lineup. He asked for slightly beyond March, I think it was March 16, that was requested in the order. All Sarah and I have been wanting to do over the course of these last couple of years was to bring the existing pier that the prior owners had in compliance. There hadn't been any floating component, but there had been a wider set of panels beside it. So one of the first things Mark had us do was remove those to bring the pier into what would be the as-built as sought to be permitted. So that was something just for the mitigation of what the prior owners had out into the water, was taking off those extra panels so that now they're just working on that single strip of pier.
but there is no 91 license for this, right? And there's no license, or no permit from Yarmouth Conservation either?
Correct.
Correct.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Brittany was asking by March 16th. Mark is saying he can't do the 16th. I mean, this seems pretty straightforward. I'd be willing to give him another 2 weeks and be done with that.
Okay. What does the commission think?
I mean, they've started.
By
I mean,
March
they
30th?
have a plan, right? It's just not stamped yet or anything, but.
It's only existing.
Sorry, I can't hear you, Brittany.
It's existing conditions with only the horizontal part of the pier, so none of the parts that were taken off were not on here. Are there any pilings there, though?
No.
Okay, so that was all taken out.
Yeah.
So it's an existing conditions plan,
Okay.
which is what they need to file for the Chapter 91, right?
All right, well. I don't know.
What's it sitting on? Feet?
Yeah, just on feet, just on the aluminum pad feet. And so Mark had asked, because I had asked about the question of, particularly for this off-season, given the time frame for winter time, he said just, for them, it's better to have it so that they can actually do the as-built with exact dimensions. So, so that's where he had us take off. You'll see the two, it has an L formation. Those two we had removed. And so what remains is just the straight section, which is what they've been working on, to then file the notice of intent and then follow with the Chapter 91.
Don't we recommend that they get removed every season?
Yeah, I think, I
Ponds?
mean, yeah, if we had an order of conditions, that's what, for a pond, we would say, yeah, you should be removing it seasonally. I'm assuming we will put on as a condition, but, so, I mean, I realize that, engineers and consultants are all busy. So, I mean, I'm willing
the new one.
to give them one break, although I think there's been plenty of breaks on it. I'm willing to give you a short break of 2 weeks to get it submitted.
So what is 2 weeks?
That would be the end of
Be the end of March.
March 30th.
Yeah, we'll just call it March, we can call it March 31st.
I'll
But with the
revise.
understanding that if I don't see a plan in the office stamped by the engineer on March 31st, please refer to, or send this along to Mark and Dan that I think we're going to start writing tickets, so.
Understood.
Okay?
Understood. Yeah.
All right, so is that good with everybody?
So it's a revised plan?
No, it's a submission of a notice of intent.
Okay.
And this should be an after-the-fact notice of intent.
Yep,
right?
so I'll just, that's what the enforcement order said, so I'll just revise the date, and you can ratify that enforcement order with the new revised date.
I'm having a really hard time hearing what you're saying when you're
Okay.
talking there. Is anybody else having an issue with that?
I do.
Okay.
Okay.
What am I signing here?
That's the General Lawrence one I forgot to send.
I just like.
So for this one, you can just vote to approve to ratify the enforcement, right?
Yeah.
And I
You
gotta
just
wait.
need to ratify it, yes.
Mhm.
So what I'm gonna do, this is General Lawrence.
Wait a minute here.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
this is
do
14
do
Roads
this.
End.
That's where we're at.
I've filled out most of the stuff, so you just have to take the vote, who first and second, and check.
Okay, but you don't have, well, yeah, you can sign it. You can sign the, there's nothing in
Because
here
I
for
already,
this one.
I already sent the enforcement order.
Oh, you
So
sent
you
it
just
out?
need to vote to ratify the revised date of March 30th instead of March 16.
I'm sorry, we just had a slight breakdown in communication there. All right, so this is really then, if there's nothing, no further discussion among the board, somebody like to make a motion to issue the enforcement order?
So
Make a
moved.
motion as I leave the door.
Okay, will you vote yea?
I'll vote yea.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Carries unanimously, and let the record show that Commissioner Lawrence has left the hearing at
Building.
6:03.
Got it.
Okay. All right, so you can really relay that to Mark and Dan. It's got until the 31st, and ask them, please don't push us on it.
Nope, understood.
Okay.
I know that the little bit of help beyond the 16th is helpful to Mark, so,
Okay,
yeah.
All right.
Super. And to see the plan in action is fabulous, so that's great.
okay.
Good. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're moving on to other business. We have first one is a no dock zone inquiry for 11 Edgewater Drive. This is Paul McLean. Is that with you? So can I assume that you live at 11 Edgewater Drive?
Yeah, can we just settle it down?
Okay.
I'm all stressed out. I don't know how you guys do this, but it's amazing.
It can
All right,
be a little,
That being said, yes, I recently purchased this property.
I'm usually a very pleasant person, you know.
Well,
I'd have been jumping over that.
It doesn't matter what these people have to say.
No, you guys are always awesome. Anyways, I work for Anderson, so I'm here a lot for that, but this is my first time for something like this, so I think, okay. So yes, I recently purchased this property. It's a beautiful property. It's an acre and a quarter, right on the Bass River. We got a nice waterfront
Just talking
there.
to the microphone a little
Oh,
bit.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Thank Thank you.
Is that better?
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so my name's Paul McLean. That's McLean, and the property is 11 Edgewater Drive in South Yarmouth. And I called Brittany about the red line that just ends right on my property. And so I started, I'm back just a minute. So I recently purchased this property in the last year. So this is my wife's final home. We're living there, year round. It was like a camp, and we converted it to a year round. And maybe someday in the future we'll build a house, but this is our home. It's not going to be used for a rental property. We're there year round. It's not going to ever be a B&B. I mean, whatever those rental properties are. We want to keep the trees there. We want to keep it secluded. We love the nature. All the way to the right side of my property, I know we have to be like 25 feet from the neighbors. And everything that if we could get approved, first of all, this is all on if you guys could find your way to see this opportunity come available. So it's plenty high for the dock. I've had some people look at the property, and everything would pass if we could just get that no dock zone moved over a quarter inch. I'm right on the very end, and there's like 90 feet, so it'll be another. If you followed the property, which is really cool, can I go up to that?
Yeah. Take your microphone. Take your microphone.
Oh, yes. And I wouldn't even be here if we were in the middle of the dock zone. I mean, I would say it wouldn't even be worth even talking about. All these homes have docks in the no dock zone. Can you hear me okay? Mm-hmm. Okay. So this is my property right here. And so it comes down to right about this spot. So in the beginning, when I found it was a no dock zone, I was like, oh no. This is something that I'm not trying to, I want to slow roll this. I want everything done right with the property, with this, if it gets approved. If it doesn't, then that's another thing. But as I started looking into, I found more things that would hopefully help my case. The first thing I saw is that there is pylons in here because there was a dock there. And then I called and was all excited, and then I found out, well, not everything's grandfathered in, right? So I kept looking, and this home right here, the no dock zone used to go beyond there. It was overturned. I found that in the minutes, and I have the address for that too. And they were on the other end of the no dock zone. So I said, well, maybe if they found their way through to those folks, maybe they could do it one more time for me. There's no other properties in there that would come forth.
Do you remember when did they change that for that one on the north? Where that was or what time?
4:30. Yeah, that's the one right there. Yeah. Yeah. See, that's on that end of it, and they brought the no dock zone over so they could do it. So I said, well, I'm on the other end. Well, maybe they could do it for me. That would be amazing, And then also,
I do remember.
My area's in here, right? And all this area, look how low. This is all the low area. Nobody's ever going to build here. Nobody's ever going to put a dock here. And that's where the land goes down. My land's up high over here. So it might even be worth come look at the property if you were willing. We'd love to have you see it. It's gorgeous. I got so lucky to get this property, and we're planning on being there for the rest of our life.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you the company line, okay?
I got it.
I do vaguely remember, and I think at this point, so obviously we can't make any decision tonight, and because we have two commissioners that are missing, and they are ones that I actually rely on heavily, especially for things like docks and especially
Yes.
along Bass River.
This was kind of to open the discussion, let you know who I am, and
I think the only person on the board right now besides me is Tom, who are old enough to remember and have lived through the creation of the no dock zones to begin with. And we didn't make those decisions lightly. I mean, there was a lot of discussion back in the late 90s as to why, why certain areas would become no dock zones. It was partly between, natural, partly from a wetland standpoint, partly from a waterways issues. Okay. So that said, we hold that no dock zone pretty close to the vest on that one. We try and stay within that and true to that. I vaguely remember the 430 High Bank Road.
I think it was 2013.
I vaguely remember discussing that, and I would have to go back and look at meeting minutes to figure out why exactly we allowed that. So I guess that would be at this point, I would say my first impression is to say, no, it's not likely that we would keep chipping away at the no dock zone. I think there was a legitimate reason for why we moved it back. But I just can't remember why at this point.
Okay. I appreciate you even talking about it,
so I mean, if you want to, have you put all that stuff together, all your research together? Have you put that into like a letter or a package that we can look at, or that you want to submit?
I have not. I think, was it maybe a week ago, Brittany and I
It was
talked,
just
and she
a
was so nice, and I haven't had the
opportunity.
chance to do it, but I will certainly do that.
I would say go ahead and do something like that, okay? Because I mean, no matter what, if you really think that's going to happen, I don't want to give you false hope.
No,
okay.
Exactly.
That's the one thing I'm trying to be painfully obvious about. If you want to try and put all of that together and put it into a package and submit it for us for our own personal review, and then maybe we can if you make a good enough argument. And like I said, the people you're going to have to really convince are unfortunately the two people who aren't here right now. So, because again, I relied on them heavily. So David, did you have comments?
I'm going to jump in before Paul asks this question. And
Yeah,
that
no,
is,
you want-
why are we, what is it, why did we have a no
Yeah.
dock zone? I beat you to it, Paul.
So, again, the original point behind it was there were several different key components to it. One was the cumulative effects. People were concerned about cumulative effects of too many docks in a particular geographic region, and the whole idea that you had more and more docks coming into the being permitted, or at least seeking permitting. It became enough of a concern that we were saying, okay, well, how can you fit? Can we possibly actually fit docks on every last property? So that was the one issue, the cumulative effects, because the more docks you have, the more effects that you might see in relation to the currents and deposition of sands and that sort of thing, which then can also impact fisheries and shellfish especially. So that was one side. The other one was from a waterways perspective, because we were also concerned with navigation and safety. And again, while those are not direct concerns of conservation, they are for waterways, and waterways makes their recommendations on docks oftentimes based on not only shellfish and shellfish resources, but also for navigation and things like that. So it was a combination of factors that went into it, and it was a lot. There was a lot of discussion with it.
I appreciate the answer.
I do as well.
Zoom out a little bit so I can see where we are on the river.
High Bank Bridge.
Which bridge is that?
High Bank Bridge.
Okay. All right, I know where we are. I've kayaked there a lot.
Sorry.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, do we have any information that could be provided to us about how many no-dock zones there are along the Bass River? And
Here's the map.
sometimes it seems to me that some of these things get lost in the shuffle. And lo and behold, all of a sudden, we find a dock in an area that is supposed to be a no-dock zone. And I'm hoping that that's not the case.
All those docks are in the no-dock zone.
Those, the ones that were in the no dock, so there were, when we were picking, or when we were going through the no dock zone selection, there were docks that were pre-existing. They had been the long-term docks that had pre-existed, so they were grandfathered in.
Yeah, and that makes sense. But I mean, are there other areas? And I guess I'd just like to have at least some sort of, at least a cursory review, and Eddie provided some information there about why no dock zones exist. But I would want to make sure in voting on whatever it is we're going to vote on, that we're being fair in our decision about these no dock zones and whether, somebody could now appeal to have a dock in that area and have, appropriate information as to why he can or cannot. And also, this information vis-a-vis other areas along the Bass River and whether the no dock zones held up, from the 1990s or 80s or whatever the case may be, so that, again, there's an element of fairness here. Not to say that this would mean that a dock would be permitted in the area, but so that there could be transparency and clarity in terms of why a decision would have to be made one way or another. If we can get some of that information, I would appreciate it.
Let me ask a question. When did you buy this property?
It was, it's been a long haul. It was about 6 months ago, I finally, about 6 months ago, right in that time frame. My wife could tell you right to the date, but I've been so busy between moving.
On this property yet?
No. It's a camp that we're keeping this. This is one of the last places on the Bass River that has trees. I mean, everybody comes in and tears them all down. We want to keep the nature there. We want to keep it, private. And so to answer your question is, there's a camp there, and it was just a summer camp.
Camp,
Yeah.
are you talking about a tent? Are you talking about a
No,
camper, or are you talking, there is some structure there?
no,
There's some
it's-
sort of
yeah.
permanent structure there, right?
It's permanent structure. In fact, I got a permit because I put insulation in it and turned it into a year-round home, and we're living there full-time right now. That's my only address.
Yeah, because that would have made it, because I mean, if there wasn't a permanent structure on it, then
Oh, no, this is a permanent structure, and
you
we're
wouldn't have been getting a dock regardless.
Right.
Regardless of whether or not you're in a no dock zone.
No
or not,
doubt.
right? Yeah.
The whole reason that we were so happy about this property, because we don't want a house that's 10 feet apart with 50 docks. All these properties right here, just so you all know, are we get 1.25 acres here. And all these other ones, these are 1 acre, 2 acres. These docks are this is a lot further across here than what it looks. So, I mean, if we put a dock over here, we're going to be spread out almost even all the way around there. So that's a great point. I didn't even think of that. But, and of course, we want to do everything right regardless of what happens. I mean,
Yeah. So like I said, you can certainly, again, I don't want to give you false hope.
I appreciate that.
And I don't want to make it seem, because I mean, personally, I would say no. I mean, that's, you're going to have to do a lot of convincing for me to say
I'll find some more.
otherwise. Okay.
I'll find some more. I just got going on it, and I'll research, all the different no-dock zones. I'll, do whatever I can to help this. If it's no in the end, then it's no. You know what I mean? We're not going to put up part-time ones. Right? We want to do this right and be, like he said, to be fair. And we plan on being a happy taxpayer here for many more years. And so.
And so it's not just us. The Waterways Committee would weigh heavily on this too, so that you'd have to have their pretty much their full support too.
Yep.
even
Absolutely.
if it was to get through the
Whatever I
conservation.
need to do, yep.
So I would contact them first, because they might be a
Yeah.
harder no than we are right now. So I would contact them.
Yep, okay.
Okay,
All right, thank you so much for your time, and so you just put something together and get to with Brittany on that?
yeah, when
and
you're
see if-
ready, you can go ahead and give it to Brittany, and then we won't schedule another hearing like this unless, I mean, I'll take a look at things, and
Yeah.
if we report back to Brittany saying, there's something worthwhile looking at,
Yeah.
we would let you know, but again, it's gonna be a hard sell.
Okay, I figured that, and that's okay.
All right.
I appreciate your time.
We don't want to give you false, we don't want to give you false hope and then pull the carpet out from under you, so.
No, that's awesome, I appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you for coming in.
You bet. Thank you all, hopefully you can go home.
Almost, yeah. All right, our next order of business for approval, the meeting minutes for January 4th and February 2nd.
Again, I wasn't here January 4th. I don't know. How many of you were here on January 4th?
Who was here January
I
4th? Paul,
I
were you
was,
here?
I don't think I was here on February 2nd, though.
No, you
So
weren't.
February,
We couldn't vote on either of them.
wait, February 2nd. Oh,
I blame Bishop for this, that's all I can say.
Dan and,
Yeah, we don't have the quorum.
that's okay.
we don't have enough.
All right. So I will table the minutes for January 4th and February 2nd to March 2nd meeting, and hopefully we'll have all of the people here that we can,
Vote.
that we can vote on, so, all right. Any other business not reasonably anticipated?
Well, I did want to say something. I hope this is appropriate. I was out, I'm not going to talk about what we did, but I was out at Great Island with Brittany and Catherine and Paul and Ellie. I mean, not Paul, Rick and Ellie. And I just wanted to publicly say, I stood next to Brittany during her talk with the person in charge of Great Island, and I was just extremely impressed with the way she dealt with the issue, talked to him, and I just think we should all know what a professional person and time she was there, in what could have been a difficult, tense situation.
Thank you, David. I really appreciate that.
Job well done, Brittany.
Wow,
Because I also told Brittany that if she screws up, she'll know that too from
I know
us.
that too.
Why don't you, kick off around 6:30 or so, take off the rest of the night.
Wow, thanks. So
Okay.
generous.
We try and reward our staff,
I think
Okay,
Tom
thank
had
you.
something
Anybody
too.
else?
I have just a statement. If we go back to the 10th item on the agenda, the 16 General Lawrence and the lady's vegetation that is messed up. Brittany, my advice would be to stick with a lawyer, because I don't think his initial legal rebuttal, is going to be to the Conservation Commission, it will be to her. And we will have pushed her into that situation. So my advice to her is to get a lawyer to stay away from that guy. And for you to perhaps make that suggestion if it's appropriate at some time, and for yourself and the commission to stay away from that and deal with it from a lawyer's perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Anybody else?
Did that say it?
All
Do we have
right.
to vote to cancel the executive session?
Yeah, so if we have no other business, we were scheduled to move into an executive session, but I think we're going to put that off since the town attorney is not here and two of our members aren't here. So I think it would be better for us just to put that off until we're all here. Again, if you have questions that are really pressing questions, you can always, that deal with that subject matter, you can always email the town attorney directly. I would suggest unless it's a really pressing question that can't be answered or that you don't anticipate they could answer at the executive session, to do it that way rather than through email. Only because if somebody wants to press it, they can subpoena your personal email as well then. So it's not the best of situations that way. So, given that,
Could I ask?
yeah.
I don't know if I could ask a question, and
Well, you can't ask can't ask a question about the content, but you can ask a question about procedure.
About the what?
Procedure you can ask about, yes.
Okay, I'll hold off.
Okay.
All right, so would somebody like to make a motion to, we're voting to forego the executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Is there, okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously, so we'll put that off until March 2nd. March 2nd, is that when we're doing?
Yeah, likely March 2nd at the beginning of the meeting.
At the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And with that, then, would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn from the general session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second. Well,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned at 6:26.